My people were biologically determined for one purpose alone, to sense the coming of damn fine podcasts. I sense it coming now.
Hello, and welcome to a Discovery Home Companion. Your companion through Star Trek Discovery, I guess, though we're done now. Star Trek Discovery is over.
We come not to bury it.
We're here to talk about what you want to talk about because we're going through your voicemails. We've taken a little bit extra time between whatever the name of that last episode was, Take My Hand or whatever. And yes, we're talking about Star Trek Discovery. All your companions here. Me, my name is Wade Bowen. Also, we have James Nolan.
Yes, I, Ross James.
And also, somewhere back there, we have another guy you might know. His name is Hugh Crawford.
You can't bury me.
Hugh has his black eyeshadow on, his corpse paint. He's ready to do this. Do y'all have any final thoughts before we get into these voicemails about thoughts on Star Trek Discovery?
Real quickly, I just want to talk about how I feel that most of the fandom has come around, or anybody, or most of the people who write about Star Trek. There was a lot of people doing recaps throughout the season who were a lot more generous than we were, or I was specifically about it. And at the end, I felt like they all came around. There was a lot of people were unhappy about how it ended and a little bit cynical about the fan service at the end. And I felt a little vindicated. I felt vindicated since we've talked last, is what I'm trying to say.
It was like as a quote unquote hater of the show for the most of the season, you felt like besieged, and then it was nice at the end. They're like, but I will say that one of my pet peeves now, and I've seen it for a few shows now, but it's solidified. This is my pet peeve, is when a reviewer for, like, let's say Vulture or something like that, every episode gets a B to an A- every episode, and then they always talk about how it was a fun episode and it was good, and then every fucking episode, and in the last one, the for the finale, it'll always read, after an uneven first season, the finale disappoints. I was like, where did you say it was uneven, motherfucker? I was here the whole time.
You're right.
I waited my whole life for this.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, a lot of it is ultimately, it was uneven, but you know what? It ended on I've seen some that are ended on a high note, because some people are just really excited that they have Spock and Pike next season, I guess.
So it's best case scenario. The best case scenario is it resulted in hey, I remember that. I clapped because I remembered it.
Everybody's, and then I keep seeing every first season of Star Trek's been awful, but this one is the most promised. It's like, is that really the bar that we're setting, though?
Yeah.
You two might not, but I will probably watch season 2 and just wait for them to do whatever they're going to do, and then maybe
I think we're
still in a wait and see.
We're still looking at we're holding pattern.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, James? We're not going to commit one way or the other right now.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
They start shooting in like a month. In like April or something, so I don't know.
So they have to start, they have to cast people. Like, there's clearly gaps in the cast now. They've clearly set up. So yeah, and clearly Spock is going to be on the show. So they have to, like, cast Spock and all that kind of shit.
Okay, before we get to voicemails, real quick, who would they have to cast as Spock for you to, like, to push you onto the side of the fence where you feel like you got to weigh in? You have to jump in.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe is Spock. I think he's older than the actor who plays Sarek.
Right. Father, I've been in a horrible accident and I've been aged.
You're right. I don't know. Because it's going to be...
In the original series, Spock says that he hasn't spoken to his father as a father in 18 years, so he's going to have to be very professional. No, never mind. Sorry.
No one cares. No one cares.
I don't know it. Where did I go for a second? I just blacked out.
Like, the worst case scenario is this show just becomes the Enterprise, right?
Oh, no. Remember, I think I could smell a bullshit cliffhanger a mile away. That was one thing. And I knew that this is just a cynical market. Like, no, it's not going to become Enterprise. It's a cynical marketing tactic to get subscribers to, like, feel like they need to come back for this next episode.
Are you saying that the first scene of next season is going to be, all we need to do is transport you over some food supplies, done, and then, like, they go back on their way?
Something dumb shit. Yes. Yes, it will be an incident. It will be one episode tops, and then they'll be back on their. They're going to be set off on a mission of some sort that will have them traveling great distance. It's just
They're going to cast somebody
horseshit.
to be the back of Spock's head, and we never see his face. And then the nerds will say, "Well, they didn't actually break canon because he spoke to his father only in a professional context, not as a father."
Or just that Sarek just doesn't go on the ship. He just stays aboard Discovery, and then Burnham goes over and gets the corn dogs or whatever they needed, like the cases of corn dogs or whatever.
Well, let's say if the first minutes of the first season are that, even if I decide to watch it, I ain't watching it anymore. I assume that there's at some point they've got to cast other people. Like I said, there's gaps in the there's gaps in the cast.
Me and Hugh weren't as on board that they have that like.
Yeah, they've got plenty of actors that they could just give lines to in stories.
No, but I mean, like that they have like, I mean, well, first off, they're going to get a captain. So even if they don't accept that captain, then something's got to waylay that. They need, if you're going to have if you have a season long thing, you're going to have a villain or an antagonist. There's like, you got to stock up a little bit.
Well, they do have to stock up in the sense that we don't have a chief engineer, we don't have a chief medical officer, we don't have a captain. So I guess you're right in that sense that they do need to, if they're going to have a traditional Trek, they're going to have those three positions filled. I guess Delmer could get promoted to chief engineer. Right. Because that's what Geordi did after in season 2.
Yeah, they could do that. And, they don't have to have a villain for the whole season. They could do what Star Trek did and have a villain and have one every episode.
If they want me to watch a second season, they need to add more cast. I'll put that down. I'm completely underwhelmed with the people in this show. I think Sarek's doing a fine job. I think Tilly's fine. I think...
The ending with Sarek... I'm sorry, I gotta get this off my chest because now it's all bubbling back up. It's more absurd to me the more and more I think of, because I sent you that joke about that Sarek novel from eBay that I found in a text, and I made that joke about how Sarek was complicit in planning a genocide, and then his foster daughter just said, "It's okay, you were under a lot of stress at the time." The more I think about that scene, that might be the dumbest thing in Star Trek.
Yeah.
A whole group of people planning a genocide.
And then they plan one, and then within 48 hours, someone comes and says, "Hey, that was against what oh yeah, you're right." It's like they changed their, it's like it's the...
No, they were like Lucky Strike getting a better pitch from Don Draper. That's the only reason why they didn't go for genocide. Well, what else you got? Oh, well, let me get out my poster board.
Listen to me, Admiral. It's toasted.
Yeah.
See, I just saw it as like they're dumb, like those jokes everybody makes about Donald Trump. Like, oh, well, whoever the last person to talk to, because they're like, Giorgio, oh, she made some good points, so I guess we got to blow up the thing. And then a day later, Burnham says, "That's not what we stand for." It's like, well, she made some good points. I guess we can't do that anymore. It's like, well, stand for something.
Yeah, need. That's what I'm saying is that they need some fucking like characters that you can like other than Tilly.
The first thing that they need to do, they need to have Captain Pike. The reason why Captain Pike called up the Discovery is because Sarek was on there, and his ass needs to be put in chains and then taken to like a tribunal for his part in the fucking planning of a genocide. Like, sorry, we got to take your boy because he was a part of a conspiracy to kill a whole planet.
Right, and also all those medals that you got, that makes you complicit. Like, that's quid pro quo right there. We're taking you all in. David Milch, showrunner, season 2. I'm on board.
Yeah, I'd watch
that. Would get you, yeah.
I would watch that.
Right?
I would watch it with popcorn, man, because that's going to be a calamity. But I would do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
he can kill all the horses he wants. I'll watch this shit.
Who could they could get a? I mean, David Milch wouldn't do that. Like if you put a gun in.
No, God, no.
Surely they could get a showrunner that might get me to want to watch it. But it's script's locked, right? Like they shoot like no, but like this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. This is a messy mess. So I was hoping after the first season you'd hear somebody seeking other opportunities.
Well, one of them did. One of the writers gets to write.
Well, he got
write American Gods now.
Yeah. But like if Alex Kurtzman wanted to seek other opportunities, or maybe realized that after 18 months he didn't have a story or whatever Joss Whedon just said.
Right.
But like nobody got fired. Nobody got so it's gonna be the same show, buddy.
Voicemails.
Yep.
Those will cheer us up.
I do like this part. I do like listening to them.
Yeah, no, we love hearing from you guys. It's actually a lot better than just depressing ourselves talking to each other. No, that's not true. I love you guys. I love your company. This is Gabriel
Lorca?
Yes.
Hi guys, this is Gab coming at you from Melbourne, Australia, talking about the last episode of Star Trek Discovery, the war within, without, or something. Let's try. I'll try not to digress too much because I have a tendency of talking too much about Star Trek Discovery and then missing the point, and it's complicated. I did not like this episode, and generally I haven't been enjoying the show. It's a massive missed opportunity. Let me try to get to the point here. So I watched this episode right after watching Duet, and you can feel like it was there before me, the diversity of what's a good episode and what's a bad episode. And overall, you expect from a 2018 television show a quality and a cleverness of a show that is, different from a 90s TV show. And throughout the various Star Treks, at least for me, what drove me into this world was, and what I liked about it was the values, or some of the values, the cleverness of the show, the lessons that were learned. They were a bit of ahead of time in a way to sort of create narratives that would teach you lessons and that would relate to other parts of the shows and have an arc and all that kind of stuff. The bar is pretty high right now, and I would have expected a lot more from a Star Trek made in 2016 or 2017. And there are so many parallels that we can do in between Duet and this last show around guilt and what's the relationship in between the victim and the perpetrator, Ash Vok, what's right, what's wrong, and all that kind of stuff, which it wasn't there. What was there was the fact that Ash Tyler is more of a dickhead than when he was Ash Vok, where he had at least some depth, and that goes with all the characters that I don't care about. Because they don't have any depth, but there's not a content. What I'm trying to say is that this new Star Trek feels empty because it's missing a content. It's missing a direction. There's not a point to be made. There's no talk about leadership. There's not a talk about diversity. There's not a talk about anything. It's just a mess. But I'm over time, and I want to say that I am enjoying very much listening to the podcast. Thank you very much, and bye.
Duet was pretty great, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's an air of unfairness to comparing like an episode as great as that too. But yes, no,
is there though? Because they should be able to learn.
Oh, I agree.
Tell a story,
my argument the whole time. But like, it is like their best. The best face forward for that. No, first off, like we have a growing fan base of people who call in from Australia, and that makes me happy.
I know, I love it.
We have our mix is it goes over in Australia, whatever our personality mix is. But no, I definitely agree that this. That's sort of been. He sort of encapsulates a point that's taken me like all season to sort of get through, which is just that like there's a lot of emptiness to the words that they're saying, and I think that's and that the nothing has the weight of magnitude that it should, and that we expect from. We can talk about Duet, but that's first season Deep Space Nine right there.
Right?
We always talk about first season.
If you want to be bummed out about this show, why don't you go watching Duet is a good way to do it. Right. He's got a great point. Of course he's right, but watching one of the best Star Trek episodes on the best Star Trek series right after that's kind of a bummer, man.
Right, but but what Duet does, where it takes the villain and shows a different side of like the villainous people, and then there's so much nuance in the characters, like that you don't get. Like, what if Lorca felt bad for raising Michael Burnham to have sex, like the grooming thing.
Mm-hmm.
What if he learned from the Federation with his 2 years or however long he lived there?
Or it had any point at all other than like, I've been the bad guy the whole time.
Right, yeah.
If he said that would fit right in with everything that we saw.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the bad
I mean,
guy.
right. Even Mirror Giorgio is the same thing. It's like, I still love Kelpian, and then I scamper off.
Don't call the homeworld means they're humans. Call them whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, like maybe you should fucking A show. But yeah, no, everything is just a little more inhuman. It's a little emptier. I don't know how they fix that other than do everything different. And that's not, that's hard to do.
We'll see. Yeah. And you know what? They can do a different kind of show. Just do it better. I don't know. It doesn't, like, I'm okay. Like, I don't want to harp on it too bad. Like, oh, it's not DS9, but if you want to set a bar for yourself, do that instead of it's better than, say, Voyager. But I can't go that far on it. But that's a whole other kind of discussion to have. It's very different in a lot of ways because it's so action and fast paced, but to its detriment.
I mean, it's so empty. Like, I don't even like that. That's what we always like. What's the joke about Chinese food? Is you're hungry after 30 minutes. Like, you eat it and then you're hungry after 30 minutes. Like, that's sort of like this show. It just doesn't stick to your ribs, And
right.
And I like a TV show that's like a set of baby back ribs.
Right.
Not only is it ribs, but it sticks. Like, you eat it and like you're fine until noon the next day. I need something, and this is just not that.
What if they could get Ronald D. Moore back to Star Trek? I don't think he really has any interest in doing that. He's doing his Star Trek. He's doing a space show for Apple or something, right?
I think that he could. But on the other hand, I think that's just this pie in the sky of like, what if they got Benioff and Weiss to do season 2? So like, I don't think that's gonna happen. So
oh no.
But I think there are writers out there that would want to do this that I could interest me.
Noah Hawley, Star Trek, or did Legion kill it for you?
No, Noah Hawley. That would interest me. I would even be. Oh my God, I'm about to say this. I'd be even interested if Max Landis got the job.
Shit.
But there are people. There are people that could showrun this that would interest me, but they don't seem to be interested in pursuing those people.
Let's move on to another voicemail. How about that?
All right, hit it.
We got one from Rocky here, and let's just jump off.
Hey guys, Bucky here. Having finished, will you take my hand and jump off a cliff with me and hopefully land on a pile of jagged rocks? That's what I have to say. That's all I have to say is a hearty. I don't understand how. I don't understand L'Rell's thinking. Okay, so she's got a bomb, but she never proves it. She just waves a Starfleet pad around, which I don't think would help her. I think the Klingons would then just view her as a traitor and kill her where she stands. There's no reason for the Klingons to stop their attack on the Federation because it's glorious combat, as the most important Klingon in the show has ever said. There is no greater honor than victory. Sure, Saru and Tilly and Burnham learned something, but I really don't get how the rest of the Federation did. The spore drive hasn't been classified, so there's no reason that Catherine Janeway wouldn't have been really pissed and trying to figure out how to make it work with Voyager's bioneural circuitry a couple hundred years later. I'm not even going to talk about that last scene because there's a point where fan service isn't a service, it's just an anchor around your neck. And I continue to like the cast and will keep watching, but this was all just a big pile of bleh. So I still think the prediction will happen somehow, and at the series finale they will time shenanigans this entire thing. I refuse to let it die because I'm still mad about the death of Culbert and the burying of your gays. So find me on Twitter at BuckyWTGoodhair. Thanks, guys.
He sounded so despondent. I'm not trying to laugh at your despair, Bucky, because he's got valid points.
No,
The
yeah.
Janeway, though, the Janeway thing that's got to be pretty maddening.
Right. I'm an admiral now. I see these classified files and you fucking assholes. We
We're
feel
with
you, Bucky.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. He said he's gonna watch it. Here's the thing,
Yeah.
Star Trek
Oh,
fans.
I'm with him. I will too.
I know, but here's my thing. This is it. We are not going to get anything better by continuing to give them the clicks or the money or the views or whatever metric they use to measure success. It's okay to put something you love in a penalty box if it sucks. You can you can watch the thing. If you hear that it's good or better from people that you trust, you could turn it back on. But I think they should feel like an initial something. It should sting them, the fact that it sucks so much.
Collective
People
action,
should
civil disobedience.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to.
Just like a fan-
Yeah, I'm not trying to mock it. Yeah, no, I agree.
But I mean, if you look, these things do matter. If you look at the Justice League movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who ever loved Superman and Batman didn't go see that shit. It made in its entire run, what Black Panther made in 3 days. It's people did it, and now the DC universe is pretty much derailed because they continue to make junk, and it had diminishing returns for them. This should have diminishing returns. If you didn't like it, if you're that despondent about it, don't watch it. Watch Captain Janeway, try to get back for 7 seasons and hold you over until something better comes along. Or if it never gets better, reconcile yourself with the fact that something you loved now sucks and that life moves on.
I think that increasingly we have to be that way because most of the people that call in we're some are old, some are young, but we're in collectively sort of the same age group. That ultimately the things of our childhood or the things of our upbringing that one of the things is you cast off the stuff that doesn't mean anything. He-Man, shit like that, you throw it away. But then there's the stuff that actually does have some sort of moral character to it that you keep with you as an adult because it was formative to you. You enjoyed it as a child, and now it's applicable like morality or life lessons or whatever to you now. But more and more of these things are going to be picked up and being used as brands. Not as, the idea is like Star Trek Discovery. I think it's safe to say it's not Star Trek. It's Star Trek brand. Like it's there because you remember Kirk and Spock and shit, and because they can market shit to that pre-made fan base. They don't have to go out and create their own fan base, and so they're using it for that way. That's why they're doing Lost. Does anybody fucking want to watch Lost in Space, the 3rd reboot? Nobody fucking cares, but that we're getting it.
Mate,
and
Parker Posey.
Well, but yeah, they're going to get these actors. They're going to get things, but there's no reason they're not doing it because of the importance that you put on it. They are doing it because of the importance you put on it, but they're not doing it to ratify and pay respect to the importance that you've put into it. They're just there to sell you something.
Y'all are right, but at the same time, you know what? Maybe it's not. I watch a lot of shit. That's fine. And I enjoy. Not everything that I like is as good as, say, the Ursula K. Le Guin that I'm reading right now, which she's fantastic. Everybody should just read nothing but Le Guin as far as but also, you know what?
I agree.
I won't even get into Dune but whatever.
I disagree.
Yes. Before we recorded tonight, I ended up watching a whole episode of The Gifted on Fox. That show sucks. You know what? But I'm gonna keep I've watched the whole fucking season basically, and I'll probably still watch it, and I'll probably be fine. You know, like not everything has to be.
When do you stop? What? When do you stop? What? I mean,
When I die, because I'm a fucking American and I am consumed with entertainment.
Well, I mean, I guess that's fine if you feel like it doesn't, like if it's not hurting anything. But my whole point is that if you're dissatisfied with something,
Oh, yeah.
then do the only thing that you can do to change it, which is to stop, stop the metric by which they measure success.
Yeah.
Give
I'm
them
just-
less of it.
Yeah, your points are valid. But at the same time, it's a TV show. If people want to watch it, let them watch it. But I like, for instance, me, I will probably watch. No, I'm definitely going to watch season 2 of Discovery. This season has kind of broken me
have
a
you
little
never
bit.
quit a show?
Oh yeah, sure I have.
What did they have to do?
What did it take for you to quit a show?
I got preoccupied and I just stopped watching. I don't know. Like that's why I'm not saying, like I said, your points are valid and you're not wrong. At the same time, people are allowed to keep watching the show if they want. But people enjoy the show more than we have, and those people are perfectly fine to keep watching it.
Sure, but if you're frustrated with that, but if you're,
all I'm doing is arguing. I'm taking a contrarian point. I'm not saying.
But
you're
if what
wrong.
you want to do is change the content, like you're unhappy with the content, and you need to send a message, like
yes,
that's the only message
right.
that's going to matter.
Well, but you're not wrong. But also, the argument people will make is, if nobody watches it, we just don't have Star Trek anymore. If the franchise,
you don't have Star Trek as is. That's my.
Well, and my whole thing is, we can say this isn't Star Trek, but it is. It's just shitty Star Trek.
But why is that? I
don't
mean,
know.
like you still have Star Trek. You still have Star Trek. It's right there on the Netflix. I watch it all the time.
But we always, yeah, and and I'll go back for when I want the good Star Trek, and then I will enjoy the Star Trek. And then I will hope for more, and I'll probably, and I'm not even saying that maybe you guys are right. And I'm an idiot for doing it, but I'm still probably going to do it.
I don't think people are idiots. I'm just trying to say that you can find solace in action.
It's praxis. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
are you going to pay to watch this show?
Ask me off air.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's like you continue it, but at what cost is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Ask me off air, but no, of course, if I'm doing a podcast for it, I'll. But who knows if I will be? But yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean that's another way to do it. Is that I mean, if you absolutely want to watch it, but also want to send a message, there are ways.
James.
I don't know them. I talk to other people. I don't know anything about them.
James. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. My point is, people are allowed to define themselves. If they want to be like, I'm a Trekkie, this is how I define myself, they can still pay for it.
But my
That's
point
absolutely
is that people are frustrated, and there's a way to alleviate that. I'm not talking to the people who like it just fine. I'm talking to the people who are exasperated and despondent over how bad it is and how taxing it's been on them.
If it turns into a hate watch, I mean, like I hate watch tons of shit. If that's what you're doing, that's
Right.
fine. But maybe paying for it's weird. But but no, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to watch the show.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you can do, if
Yeah,
you wanna
financial dom. I'm in.
you like giving money to people.
You do make a good point, Hugh. I want to just throw out a counterpoint because I'm an asshole, I guess.
Always, you need counterpoints.
We got something here from Stephen.
Hello guys, this is Stefan calling in for Will You Hold My Hand? The positives first. I have to say, I think that just purely on a plot level, they managed to actually conclude the story in a way that is more or less cohesive. For most of the season, I didn't have any idea where things were going, and they did finish off everything quite nicely. I liked the Orion stuff on the Klingon homeworld. I liked some of the Ash and Burnham stuff. Tilly getting high with Clint Howard was nice comic relief, so that's all fine. Having said that, this end, as everyone's been talking about, it feels completely unearned. Everything, the solemn, semi-patriotic speech about duty, dedication, feels cliched because it doesn't feel earned. Almost nothing does. And peace with the Klingons is assured by threat of a bomb. I'm not the biggest disciple of the Roddenberry ideals, but I'm not sure that's quite part of it. Yeah, what else is there to say? I mean, everything kind of didn't quite work out. Kind of weird, actually, because I mean, all the Klingon War stuff, which is, I guess, the central story arc of the show, they didn't really get to developing that in detail until the second to last episode. And in the last one, they have to pay everything off for the whole season. It just, I wish I could say it otherwise, but this is just for dramatic satisfaction. This is not. It's not even adequate. No. So next year, I don't know. Okay, hope it didn't bum you guys out too much. Talk to you later. If you're gonna do a podcast recapping the whole season, I have some things to say about that. But okay, bye guys.
What say you guys? We're gonna do another podcast after this about the whole season, or that's kind of what we're doing now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think we're done for now.
You don't have it in you?
Done until we'll let you know. We'll let this smolder a bit.
Yeah, we gotta let it marinate, Stephen. I think it's interesting that you like the Dash Spock Burnham stuff.
I said that was something that I liked too. I said not
because because it made sense that he left.
Yeah, that it made sense that he was just kind of like, I get you, but like I found my real friends. Like these guys are fun and like
yeah. I forgot about that. I forgot. It's interesting that some of the stuff that worked in it was also forgettable. So that's
true. I don't know if I didn't edit it. I don't know if I would have remembered that I liked it.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I just some of the stuff is just so. I mean, like he said I liked what Stephen said about he's not the biggest follower of the Roddenberry ideals, but he's pretty sure giving a bomb to blow up a whole planet so somebody can rule the planet is. Probably doesn't fit in very well.
Yeah, no.
But it wasn't Starfleet with the bomb. They just gave them the bomb to.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, Stephen. It doesn't.
There are so many of those original episodes that you would meet a culture or two cultures that were dead set on mutual,
assured destruction.
Mutually assured destruction. The Enterprise would have to like defuse the situation. This is so mind-bogglingly stupid, and it all tries to fit in with the rubric of their culture, and of respect. And that's really like Bucky said, just assuming that they would fall in line, because it was such a ballsy move that they would all fall in line. I don't know. That was some real thin soup.
Yeah, it strained credulity.
I mean, they would have killed. I mean, I stand by the fact they would have fucking killed her ass immediately.
You know what? I still think that there's a way to actually make that work. But what you have to do is you have to have a full 45-minute episode of backroom talks about somebody examining all the angles of her move, that kind of stuff.
See, I thought of
alliances being formed and stuff. You have to do the work to make that move
the
work.
way that I saw it is like the technobabble explained it. We keyed it to her biology or whatever. So if she dies, the bomb goes
So wait a
off,
minute. So if you
they
say
can't.
that, so then like the entire planet of Kronos could be blown up because she ate a turkey sandwich too fast.
So that's why she's chancellor and she gets all this security and stuff. And then like before she dies, she can pass it off to the new chancellor or something or whatever.
No,
while she's choking on her turkey sandwich.
Well, that's why you got to make sure your king doesn't die or whatever. So I mean,
Guys,
yeah.
do you know what this is? This is the wildfire beneath the city, and she's Cersei all of a sudden.
Yeah.
This is a straight up Game of Thrones.
it is.
The more I
It
think
is.
about it, the more aping they are of Game of Thrones, and like they want all the working parts of Game of Thrones, but they don't want to earn it.
Right.
You know,
Wait,
because
wait,
It's not.
They don't have
I'm
any
not
of the-
even arguing that it's good. I'm just saying that you could technobabble and like that's why it works. And yeah, it's still dumb. Don't
No,
get me wrong.
I don't mean how the device itself works. You could have a 45-minute episode, never even mention the device.
Oh, yeah.
All that matters is the power and how everybody lines up to follow her.
Yeah,
you could have an episode that really works.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If they gave time to like establishing a political solution to the problems of Klingon, that would have been, I mean, under a better writer, that would have been fine.
Right. But the whole thing, like, oh, she could just die anytime, and it goes off. It's like, well, yeah, that's why.
That's
you know,
dumb. That's
whatever.
dumb, and that's not a settled piece.
I agree, it's dumb, but it's still like within the bounds of the dumb solution that they have. Why it works? It's not like I say, it's still dumb, but I don't know.
Why wouldn't the tribes just get their people off of Kronos and then like
Because
kill
it's the homework they've got.
And kill 'em.
Well, it takes a lot to get everybody off a planet. You got a whole civilization and thousands.
Their Klingons ain't lazy.
They've got their history. They don't want to blow it all up. I mean, that's whatever.
But it's gonna blow up if she chokes. It's gonna blow up.
So make sure she doesn't
It's gonna
choke.
blow up if
Not
she-
everybody. People don't choke on chicken wings every day that they're in office.
People die all the time by random bullshit before they get a chance to rekey their little remote control to somebody else.
You're trying to make something work that doesn't even need to work. Like you don't need to even explain the actual ins and outs of how the device works. All the fact that it's like the Infinity Gauntlet. It doesn't matter how it works. It's just the power that she has.
When you don't have that, then the only thing you're left like when you don't have the good shielding the underthought out, all you're left with is the underthought out.
What I'm saying is that if you watch how you can make sense how everybody falls in line with her.
No, I agree with you.
With
You're
her power.
saying that take an underthought out concept, which Star Trek does all the time, and then build an interesting story around it. And I'm saying that there is no story.
That's what I accidentally did. Yes.
Right. To do it well, they should do a whole episode about why they fall in line or whatever. But my point is, the technobabble is there to say this is why, and the explanation that if she does choke on something, it blows up. Well, she didn't choke on anything then so there. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's dumb, but there's a solution in the story for why they don't just kill her. That's all.
I mean, you get that I accept the second part, but I'm really focused on the first part.
Yeah, but I did. Yeah.
I mean, yes, there is an explanation. It's a dumb explanation.
Well, yeah, that's what I've started the whole thing. The whole thing's stupid, yes, but yes.
Okay.
There's bigger arguments with it than, but why what if she chokes on something? It's dumb for other reasons than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Do we have any more phone calls?
Kristen from Toronto.
Hello, Kickers of Elves. This is Kristen from Toronto. Congratulations, Paldar Joy. You made it to the end of Season 1 Discovery, and you're all still speaking to each other. It's great. Okay, good job. Gold star. So I had a thought that I thought I would share with you on this auspicious occasion, which is I was thinking about why the characters in Discovery don't have a lot of liveliness. They're not very interesting, and you don't connect to them too well. And I was thinking of them in comparison to, say, the Next Generation characters. And there's a sort of aura of harmlessness around pretty much everyone in the previous Star Trek shows. I mean, there's all those sort of like birthday parties in the break room scene, when Riker plays his trombone and there's a badly made cake, and they're putting on plays and having string quartet rehearsals and just kind of being ordinary, everyday, kind of dorky people with interests and stuff that is not just I am a terrifying badass, which seems to be the interest of most of the people on Discovery. And maybe that's just a feature of the shorter season where they don't spend time developing the ancillary life on the ship, and maybe there's less time for hobbies, obviously, when you're in the middle of a war. right? But I guess everybody on Discovery, except for Tilly again. Tilly is a character everyone likes because she's a kind of harmless dork. Everyone feels like kind of like Jack Bauer, you know? Jack Bauer is not an interesting character. 24 is an interesting chapter in television history, and it's an exciting show. But no one gives a shit about Jack Bauer. He's just there to like do stuff and advance the plot, right? So trying to get us interested in the emotional lives of a bunch of Jack Bauers is just not going to work.
It's true.
Which is why, in spite of being technically fine, like the Discovery romance arc, no one cares. Like, you don't care about Burnham and Ash because you don't care about them. And this is the real failure of the show. This is something I realized a while ago with prequels. Any kind of prequel media, there's a huge, if you guys are Doctor Who fans, there's a huge extended Doctor Who universe in the form of audio plays, which are all prequels. They're all set in between stories and in the gaps in Doctor Who. And they're mostly kind of like a, employment charity program for retired doctors. But anyway, I've listened to a lot of them, and through that you realize that the only stakes that are possible in a prequel are personal stakes. You don't believe it if they're going to blow up the Earth, or if the Federation's going to die, or if the Doctor's going to die, or someone, because you know they don't. You just instantly lose your investment in the story. The only stakes that can matter in a prequel are personal ones. Like, the only strong emotion I have felt while watching Discovery was when they are taking the ship through the giant spore ball in the penultimate episode, because you don't actually know if they're going to make it. And you think, yeah, okay, it's, you know they're not going to blow up the ship when they have another season called Star Trek Discovery, but within the context of the show, it's like, yeah, it is absolutely possible that they will save the universe and die. And that I could care about. But they have not done a good job in getting us invested enough in the characters to care very much about them, and therefore we don't care about the plot of the show. However, I do think Discovery succeeds as reasonably entertaining middle-brow TV. It does not work as Golden Age high-class TV. It is not teaching you anything about the human condition or about yourself as a person or stretching you in any way, but as an mildly entertaining way to pass 48 or so minutes, okay, it's fine. And James, you said something a while back about, people are watching the show because they like it. That is not necessarily true. I am watching the show because I want them to make more Star Trek. So I figure if I watch it, that will prove that Star Trek is viable, and maybe somewhere along the line someone will make actually good Star Trek again. It'll be great. So maybe this is the kind of shit we have to wade through to get to the good stuff. I'm hoping so anyway. Anyway, this is way too long, so I'm going to sign off now. And I can't wait to hear what y'all do next. Okay, Peldar Joy, good night.
And there's the other side of activism.
Well, see, and that's what I don't believe. I think if you wade through shit, you just get more shit.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, if something activates change, there's nothing going to change.
Well, I mean, like, TNG was good, but then it got better just because it was on. Then we got a spinoff when DS9 that was just ended up being better. I don't know. If they say this show is well enough and they decide to pull that Nicholas Meyer thing out of the darkness and death or wherever the closet they shoved it into, and Nicholas Meyer gets to make a Star Trek because this did so well.
I guess it's two different things. Is that, like, they can't, like, if they cancel Star Trek, then there won't be any more good Star Trek. But on the other hand, if you're not gonna get better Superman movies if you keep going to the Zack Snyder Superman movies. So I think that, yeah, it's a dilemma. I mean, I think that unlike Kristen, I think I can live without new Star Trek,
right?
Because I don't trust them.
Well, I can't live with Star Trek becoming something that is so awful, not just poorly executed, but bankrupt in ideas. And so I'm not gonna continue to support something that's bankrupt, like morally and poorly executed.
It's an interesting debate.
and just hope that it gets better,
right?
And that if something goes away that's morally bankrupt, then I guess we vanquished something that was morally bankrupt and awful.
Well, right. Well, the question,
it doesn't matter.
Guess,
the brand loyalty.
Well, like, her point is that it's not totally bankrupt. It's middle-brow television. It's not the best thing ever, but it's also not the worst thing. And I can kind of see your point. That's kind of the argument I was making this whole season, is like, I enjoy it for what it is. It's not great, but it's fine. It's middle brow television.
It's an ode to mediocrity, I guess. If you're happy with that, then that's fine.
Anything mediocre is an ode to mediocrity. I don't know, and I still watch some things that aren't great.
It's two different ways of looking at it. Is that I think that her point is that she would rather see it leave, or see it waste away than to go away. To founder to some degree than to go away, and that in the hopes, and that there's always the hopes that it will get better or they will pick up steam. Shows do that all the time, and that it's fine. But also there's this sort of contentedness about the middle brow thing. But I've never really liked Star Trek as a middle brow adventure show. Like, what gravitated to me is that. And so I think that I would rather have it, let's not say it's a pure form, but I would rather have it basically untouched or do more of what I want, but don't do what you're doing. And so I'm not a lover of Twilight Zone, but there's lovers of Twilight Zone. I could see.
Yeah, Twilight Zone's great.
I could see them not wanting them to make more Twilight Zones because it's going to be cheap, and it's going to be chasing Black Mirror, and it's going to mess with.
They've done that like 3 different times now, where they've made new Twilight Zones, and it's never really worked.
Yeah, and no one ever likes it, and it's not that it cheapens what came before. But is it worth your time? And is it worth, like, do you really care if there's no more Twilight Zone anymore? And I think, I think all of us are big fans of the Marvel movies. But once the Marvel movies start sucking ass, I'm gonna stop going to them.
That's my thing. Is like I don't need, if a brand has become rotten, you don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to hold on to something that's gone bad.
For a lot of people, it's not quite as rotten as y'all keep, because for what they want from it. Like, people that are like, yeah, I'm a Trekkie, that's what I am. That's, like, they want to define themselves, and like Voyager's my favorite Star Trek because for whatever reasons, it's like, okay, well,
I mean, I'm not judging people, but I think that it's two different ways of like looking at your duty to a show. I'm not judging you if you feel the other way, but it is a thing. It's hard for us to let things go. And I get the excuse that I get to, like, some things are picked up by my kid, and so I get to like it through that. But like, it's harder to let these things go. But I mean, like I said in a previous podcast, like there's a lot of stuff I need to like absorb, and not that I need to regiment my time. I don't. I still waste a lot of time, but every time I'm sitting there watching something I hate is keeping me from sitting there and watching something that I like. And maybe you don't hate it, but like my affinity to Star Trek and it not living up to it makes me hate it. If my wife really wanted to watch This Is Us and I sit down and I'm like, I don't care about this. Like, it's not like it's not trying to live up to the ideals of the great This Is Us's that I grew up with, And so if the gap between shitty and the good that you remembered is vast, then it's not, if it makes me irritated, like, then why am I watching it?
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, how about we just jump to this next thing? We still got a good amount of feedback to get through. So here we got something from Greg from North Carolina.
Hey, this is Greg from North Carolina. I was calling for a Discovery Home Companion. So listening to the last 2 episodes, both the reaction to the second to last and the episode about the last episode of Discovery, I realized here's the problem with this season. It is a Next Generation episode blown up into a whole season. Because let's look at what you got. You've got a whole bunch of people who don't really seem like normal humans talking at each other. Well, that's a big old check for TNG. And here's the other thing. They did plots that TNG never would. But they did plots TNG never would because TNG had good sense not to do it. Like, say, the Mirror Universe. TNG was like, well, we can't handle that in more than an episode, for more than one episode, and even then that might be bad. Discovery was like, Mirror Universe? That sounds fascinating. Wow. Klingon War. TNG only had Klingon Civil War that they were on the outside of. Whereas Discovery's like, let's shove them right into it and then not really deal with the consequences. It's this whole thing of the execution's not there. And, I heard what you guys said about not defending Discovery by saying all the first seasons of Star Trek shows are bad. And you're right. That's not a good defense. That's not like proof. I'm saying that all the bad of TNG in the first season is right there in Discovery. It's people who don't really know what they're doing. A lot of people who don't really care about what they're doing, and just shoving it in there and going like, it's Star Trek as we say so. So that's all I had. Peace.
The comparison to TNG is interesting because, I mean, I think he makes good points. But yeah, like, I think for all the shit talking you want to do about TNG, especially season 1, the thing that Roddenberry, who had shit garbage ideas for the most part, the one thing I think that ended up maybe ultimately saving TNG was that he was like, we can't do the shit that we did before. I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
You can't, I don't even want Andorians or whatever in it, but like, we're not going to the mirror universe. We're going to tell my new stories based on this cult of personality that I've built up about myself or whatever. But at least he was looking forward. Instead, this is just like, hey, remember this, and that's exactly what they were forced not to do on TNG because of all these agents or whatever.
It is. It's very I mean, it's astonishing when you're referential and yeah.
Right, for how mind-boggling all these visual changes are. They're trying to have it both ways.
Well, I mean, I've said earlier that this what this whole season was trying to do was what yesterday's Enterprise did in one episode. It was about war. It had a romantic entanglement of star-crossed lovers. I mean, it checks out the list. So I essentially agree with what he says because I can point to a specific Next Generation episode.
Yeah.
That tackled all these themes. It also tackled like the fundamental difference, like how fundamentally changed war had changed the Federation itself. Right. And their attitudes and how they approached things. And they were losing, too. That was the thing. The third act of yesterday's Enterprise, you found out that the Federation wasn't doing too well against the Klingons. And they had no course of action but to send the ship back through time. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
You ain't wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Got a call here from Eric from Pennsylvania.
Hey there, companions. It's Eric from Pennsylvania, and I guess that was Discovery, Season 1. That happened. Since that finale, I just find myself trying to understand how this all happened, how this cast of talented and intelligent people who have good chemistry together, and these showrunners who don't seem like total dipshits. I mean, maybe they're good at media appearances, I don't know, but like, how did they make this and then feel that proud of it? So I present to you the checkbox theory. The only way this season makes sense to me is as something that was written from an end objective, planning out how they wanted to get there, and setting it up on a whiteboard in terms of checkboxes. And what I mean by that is never questioning what the best way of achieving something is, but just seeing whether you checked that box. Do we need to show the war? Do our characters need to feel any of the desperation that's supposed to motivate the last 2 episodes? No, somebody can just mention that the Federation's desperate and that checks that box. Does it matter why Lorca's evil? Or do we just do the first dumbass thing that pops into our head, say he's evil and kill him off? Yeah, that's fine, that checks the box. Does it need to make sense why Burnham feels responsible for the war? Do we ever need to explain that? No, she can just say she feels responsible and then the box is checked. Do we need to give a reason why L'Rell would suddenly want peace with the people that were beating the shit out of her 15 minutes earlier in the episode? Nope, we can just say she wants peace, and that's fine because that part never mattered. All that mattered was getting to the objective and checking the boxes along the way. And that's why they feel so proud of this, because they did achieve their objective. They just never cared how. That being said, the Team Wade thing to do is to try to find some positive to see in all this. And I will say, I got to meet a new ship, a new crew of fun characters that I really liked, and some dumbass fucking shit happened to them. But I'll still take an opportunity to meet these new people and get to know them over another 4 JJ-verse Trek movies where I'm seeing the same people I already know doing the same shit they've done before. I'll take this over that. It's a low bar, but that's where we are. And if nothing else comes from Season 1 of Discovery, at some point, at some convention, I need somebody on camera to ask Terry Farrell how she feels about Klingon Double Dong now being canonical. Because I just think that's something we need to know the answer to. That's all I got. This season exhausted the fuck out of me. I love spaceship shows, but I'm glad this one's over for now. Bye, guys.
This baffles me. The bar is low, but this is where we're at. I'll take it. This baffles me. I'm the more we get entrenched in this, the more I'm getting upset about it, because people have really strong feelings. If you have strong feelings about it, if you're so unhappy about it, because they're unhappy about it, I guarantee you all these people who are coming back for season 2, nothing's changed. It's the same creative people. You're gonna get shit again. But if you've got 4 seasons of a bad show, if you've got 4 seasons of bad Star Trek, and the whole thing that you're gonna come away with it is, well, at least it was Star Trek. I don't understand that.
We only have 1 bad season of it so far.
I know, but
okay. Here's the thing. I've been thinking about this since the last time we had this conversation 10 minutes ago.
Right. The fear that something's going to be taken away. That if it's bad, then who cares if it's taken away?
Because you're cutting out the potential of better coming from it.
Okay, this is what I was thinking about before. Could we have gotten to The Last Jedi if we didn't have those prequels, which are dog shit? I, to this day, go through a lot of mental energy just to cut them out of my mind. But you know what? We suffered through them, and then maybe we didn't have to, but they happened. And now we have The Last Jedi, which is a great movie, I thought. And it's, not everything's going to be great, especially in a franchise that passes 50 years. There's going to be some bad seasons. There's going to be some bad creative decisions by people making them. But you know what? They're there. It's fine. It's like.
But once they're there, can't you judge them as they are? If Rian Johnson didn't make Last Jedi, he would have made some other fucking Rian Johnson movie that would have been good. So,
Well, sure, yeah.
So here's what it is. Like the show, it's not, I keep saying that, I think that I keep saying that the show is not good and people keep hearing that I'm not happy with the Star Trek I'm getting. But what I mean is that it's just, it's not a good show. The shows are, everything that Eric just, the show don't tell. It's everything I hate in a show. I hate it when people tell me I hate it when people tell me the emotions they're feeling. I hate it when people tell me something big happened. I hate it when turning points happen or revelations that happen. I hate that shit. And this show is full of that. It is, I'm sorry, but it is the worst written piece of shit ever. It is what is the day one.
See, that where I have to say there's worse stuff. That's
day one on screenwriting class. What do they say? Show, don't tell. It is taught. I've been in creative writing classes my entire life. It was taught to you in the first creative writing class you ever take. Is that if your characters are saying what they're feeling, or if your characters are if your characters are saying what they're feeling, or walk in and say, I had an epiphany, you're writing wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree, but this is the worst thing.
You're
this is a little
poorly,
and
you're writing poorly. And so I'm sorry, that personally gets to me. And that's not because they're not meeting some base level, save the cat, Robert McKee level of script writing. That's fine. You can watch 1,000 things and you just go just that meet the bare minimum. Like the Ant-Man script was just it was just kind of perfect. It was it did all of the save the cat shit that you do in every conventional movie. And then I liked the shrinky dinky and the fun and the heist stuff. Then you get to like other stuff. But if the story is broken, it's just it makes my mind fucking quake. And I don't know, to the point where I don't care that it's Star Trek. It's to the point where I'm just watching a show where everybody's telling me what they think. And I don't believe them, and I don't understand it, And it doesn't make any sense, and it changes from moment to moment, but everybody's just telling me what they think. I, to this day, don't know what Michael Burnham thought about Gabriel Lorca. And to this day, I don't know what she thought about Gabriel Lorca after he turned. That's the two major characters, the relationship that's the whole damn season's built on. I don't know. At any given moment, I don't know what she felt towards him.
I don't know. Don't yell at me about it, man. I don't know.
I'm just saying that, like, this show is fun to, like, I don't think it rises to middle brow, and I don't even think it rises to
I think
to 24.
But I mean, there were whole parts where we didn't know. We literally didn't know what we were seeing on screen. That we had to like hash it out. Like three grown-ups had to hash out. Now, what character was that? The lighting was poor. Like we, I mean, there's some fundamental. It's a bad show.
I'm not like again, man. I feel like y'all are putting me in this. Like
No,
I'm not trying to
to
say
you.
it's great. I know,
I'm
but
not
I'm just
talking to you
saying,
at all.
just
I'm just
jumping
saying,
out and
I
saying,
don't-
this is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's a little hyperbolic. That's all I'm
I think
saying.
it's the worst rated show.
No, all I'm saying is that. But
It's-
why is anybody sticking? Like, I think it's okay to leave a brand if they don't do you justice. And if you just stick around hoping it gets better, then I guess you kind of deserve what you end up with. And if you get something good, you just got lucky. And I don't know. I think it's okay just to jettison it.
But
And-
you're getting mad at people for not doing that.
No, we're not.
no, I'm baffled. I'm not
We're not
angry
pathetic.
at them. I'm baffled at them.
Well, you're baffled and angry at people. That's what I'm pointing
Well,
out.
they're calling into us. So we
I know,
love you
I know.
guys. We're your friends. We're glad that you call into us. We're glad that we watch your podcast. You have a stake in Star Trek that apparently is across some line that me and Hugh don't understand. That's not attacking them, Wade.
it's me trying to get my head around
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's fun.
it's fine. That's fine.
So, and one of the things that like, I think that another thing that I feel like is that people are saying that I'm not attacking you, but you've said before that you appreciate it for what it is. But like, okay, so my kid watches these like Nickelodeon shows. Like, I don't even know what they're called. The one set in a camp. What's the name of that one, Hugh? There's one set in a camp, Bunking It or something like that.
Oh, Bunked. That's a Disney. That's a
Oh,
Disney
okay.
show.
Yeah,
Shit,
I need
you're
to-
fucking me
I
up
need to
with.
get my Nickelodeons from Disney. So he's walking
Come on
Bunked,
now.
but if you sit down and watch Bunked isn't Breaking Bad either, but it's doing what Bunked needs to do.
Right.
It's the best
No, I
case
mean-
scenario of Bunked.
I mean, God bless y'all for having these strong emotions about this stuff. It's just, I don't know. It goes to like a whole Hodgman thing. After a point, you just gotta let people like what they like.
We're not the only ones that have strong emotions, though. That's the
But
thing.
everybody
Is that we're not so unique because everybody who's calling in is exasperated or disgusted by it.
That's why we're confused. That's why we're confused is that everybody's calling in with the exact same emotion level that me and you have towards it. And then at the end, every one of them says, I'll keep watching. And that's fine. And I'm not judging that. And I'm saying that's a commitment. That's a commitment level. I'm trying to think, am I that committed to any?
Do we have
Yeah.
more?
Yes,
do we have
we
more
do.
voicemails?
Yes, we do.
Because I'm on the hunt for this sentiment to try to like grab who's calling next, Wade?
But I mean, like, if you try to figure out everybody, you're gonna be baffled. That's like,
No, this is a bigger thing than just everybody. This
Well,
is a through line through this whole entire episode of this podcast. It's of people,
it's
people
definitely-
being deeply exasperated with something and then saying they're going to come back to it
I wouldn't know what to
for fear of it going away, for fear of the thing exasperating them.
I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't try to figure out people.
you want to do that, but at a certain point, you just gotta like, I don't know, man. All right, here we got Tom from Cleveland.
Hey guys, this is Tom from Cleveland. Just not sure if you guys are going to do a final Discovery Home Companion podcast. Just thought I'd throw this to you if you were interested. First off, I'd like to say gold stars to me for both predicting the complete lack of characterization in this first series and the storytelling structure, which ended with and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then we put a bomb on the planet and the whole thing is wrapped up and everybody's fine. The fact that they're giving Burnham back her status, her station, her commission after the deaths of millions of people, completely unrealistic. Not only those people that died, but what about the actually qualified people who did not cause a war that might step into that position? No, just give it to her. She's fine. She's here. We got the uniform. It fits. Let her do it. predictions for the coming chapter. The idea of science and faith intersecting, it's really fascinating. There's a book, it's called The Fourth Part of the World, and it talks about the creation of maps, but it really delves into that whole idea of science and faith. And this idea that we weren't necessarily going places and exploring the planet because of this love of the unknown, which is a very Star Trek thing, this inherent need to explore. Faith and religion kind of told us that there were things there to look for. We weren't necessarily going into the great unknown. We thought there were things there. And that belief was based on religion. So there's a really uncomfortable coexistence of religion and faith, which does not exist now, religion and science. It doesn't exist now, but it did exist then. And I don't think science would have necessarily gotten the legs it has now if not for that early relationship. And I think the purest form of either one, religion or science, is going to get you killed. So you have to be careful. And I think it's fascinating, and I think they'll screw it up. So I'm really not looking forward to it. I think the fact that if Hugh is not going to watch the show, that could make a great podcast. Where Wade and James have to explain to him what's going on, and he could be the outsider.
You just show up.
And they, they did what? I think that could make a great podcast, and I think it's the format you guys should follow moving forward. All right, well, anyway, enjoy the interim. Have a great one. Still looking forward to Rules of Acquisition. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, he does bring up an interesting premise, but I think it's even better if James doesn't watch it, Hugh and James both don't watch it, but then Wade explains to us what happened, and and then we probe, we cross-examine him for deeper answers for things.
Are you telling us that this happened?
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Are you telling?
That might be our Discovery season 2. Mm-hmm. It might be.
That might be a way to go for it.
I'm gonna piggyback on what he said, because I think he's about the faith and religion stuff is something that we've talked about here or just in our personal life. I think that I do believe that if you look back over the 20th century, the sort of move towards, and I'm an atheist. I'm not trying to put some faith into this. I know that other people feel differently, but that as the church started to diminishing in American life and in the world, a lot of things almost became rudderless. And I think maybe that it's not so much that we needed religion there, but you need a story. It seems to me to explore the future. You need a cause. You need a vision of the world that's bigger than what you're going to eat for dinner tomorrow, or what you want to get.
Narratives help shape vision.
Yeah, because ultimately what you need is life after death. Now, whether that life after death means physical life or soul life or whatever, or just that you are pushing the boulder up for the next generation to move, And so I think that there's a story there that pure materialism, pure scientific, objective, whatever, just is never going to give you. And so I think that society does tend to founder without a narrative about the direction of society that you want to go.
I mean, in a way, that's kind of what Star Trek kind of posits. It's pretty humanistic, religion's not really a big they don't really talk about it just because it was for, primetime TV. But it's this humanist future of we're, the Federation is built on these principles. That's why people get so caught up in, I really want to believe in Star Trek, even when it's not perfect. I want it to keep existing because I believe in these.
And maybe that's why I have such a violent,
in that kind of future.
Maybe one of the reasons that I have such a sort of an aversion to it is because that they're not, I'm not saying they're not honoring the vision or whatever. I'm saying that this show kind of reduced that to platitudes for me. I found that very off-putting for myself. Yeah. Characters sometimes talk about the spirit of discovery and what's her face had a telescope or whatever, but it doesn't establish a narrative. And that's one of the effective things. We knocked the first season of TNG, but that first episode, with Q, he had to explain the narrative. And if you watch that show, that's pretty a satisfactory explanation carries through 7 seasons of that show and 3 more shows.
I feel like the Star Trek Discovery people bragging about taking on science and religion in season 2 feels like somebody who is lactose intolerant just walked up to me and said, I just ate a tub of ice cream and you're going to watch me wash it down with this gallon of milk. And I'm like, no thanks. That's not entertaining to me because I know you can't handle that.
That's true. Yes.
That's a good analogy.
That's what it feels like. I feel like, oh my God, you people could barely handle the reedy thin themes that you were dealt in season 1. I can't believe you're going to try to go for science and religion.
I can't even
in
tell
season
you
2.
what those themes are actually in season 1, other than
you know what they are. Here's what they were: is you have to make your choice and live with it, and that it's better to be a team than not be a team.
Be a team's great, yeah.
And that you have to take care of
your family,
of the environment, and that if somebody's from the mirror universe, you have to be nice to them, even though they're not nice to you, and you have to give them a ship and a bomb.
Yeah, I guess those are themes I would argue about their execution, but I have a hunch that you would too. Like Burnham's like, okay, she learns to live with their decision, I guess. Or does she? I don't know. She learns to not hate Klingons because she fell in love with one. Or does she? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It just kills me that Sarek is he's still tore up about his part in the potential genocide, and he confesses to her, yeah, I should probably take some heat for that. And she's like, no, you're under a lot of stress a lot of time. Nah, it's understandable. Everybody dabbles in a little genocide.
When you're a distant father, just a little bit of encouragement goes a long way.
That's right. That's okay, Dad. Please, I need your yeah.
That's why I should start becoming a distant father, just so that I can have that kind of power over her.
That's the kind of father I'm gonna be, because I want my kids to be a great artist.
I want to ruin every relationship you ever have. No, did Lane not call in?
Yeah, I was about to say we have one more.
Sorry, jumped in.
But no. I have disappointing news. It is not Lane. I haven't actually talked to my brother in the 2 weeks. I mean, we don't.
He doesn't exist.
He fucking exists. You've known him. You've met him before. You too.
I think it's Tom from Cleveland's going to get a third gold star. That was his theory, I believe.
Yeah, we do have additional thoughts on Disco Season 1 from Kristen.
We kind of jumped at her earlier, so.
Hey guys, it's Kristen from Toronto again. I realized in my first call that I did not actually address the major contribution I seem to have made to the show this season, which is my idea of what the theme or thesis of the show is. And I'm sorry to say, Hugh, that even though I know you really wanted this to happen, that theme of identity is not working. It really is not the theme of the show, and the thesis of the show doesn't seem to be you can choose who you want to be. Too bad, that would have been pretty good. But anyway, they didn't put me in the writer's room, so what do they know? So I was trying to think of what you could possibly say the theme was, and I guess the two sort of things that happen this season were humans could have but did not genocide the Klingons. Michael starts dating a guy. It goes not so great, but she makes friends and she becomes more integrated into a community than she was before. She starts out pretty isolated and she ends up, she's got a friend. She's got a respected place in the ship, and she's come out a little bit better than she starts out. So I'm going to say that the theme for season 1 of Star Trek Discovery was people. They're not that bad. Because they're not good, right? I mean, Michael's boyfriend turns out to be a Klingon spy and then tries to murder her. And yeah, Starfleet doesn't commit genocide, but it comes real close. Incidentally, this is not the only time we see Starfleet attempt genocide. It happens 2 other times in the future from this. The Borg genocide attempted that Picard is on board with, but eventually decides not to do with Hugh. And there's one in the future of Deep Space Nine that I won't spoil for Rules of Acquisition watchers or first-time Deep Space Nine fans. Yeah. So this is a thing that comes up again, that humanity is tempted from time to time to go and just wipe out your enemies when you get the opportunity. So it's not out of line or out of Star Trek characterization, but it's hardly an optimistic vision of humanity's future. But anyway, Pearl Joy, assholes, good night.
That was apropos of our discussion.
Yeah. Shit, I wish we were. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
No, she gave, but by suggesting the theme of the season, I was given her call in the middle of the Discovery Home Companion, I think it was like episode 6 or whatever.
No, it was the second season.
Where
it was towards the dark. What everybody else was enjoying with the Mirror Universe, but me and you weren't. I think it was during that time period.
It was at that point she gave me something to look forward to by suggesting that there was going to be a theme come into focus. And I clung on to that in
like
the
a
same
life
way
raft,
that
and
a lot of people
Pacific.
clung on to the prediction that time travel was going to fix everything.
Yeah. Which is a give up. Which is, by the way, I will admit, you had a wholesome theme. I had the best thing they can do is fucking give up and like start like throw this show, pull it out like they're a writer with writer's block, pull it out and throw it on the floor and start on anew, which is essentially what the time travel would have been.
So I guess what we learned today is that people hated Discovery, but they're going to keep on watching it because they love Trek, and that love for Trek is going to shine through all the horse shit that they're going to have to wade through next season.
Yeah. If we've learned nothing, it's all you need is love. No,
humans aren't as bad as they could be.
Right, they're not great, but yeah.
If I ever write a novel, that's what it's going to be called. Humans, they're not as bad as they could be. Guys, it's been a long season. Any final? I mean, everything's a final thought. Like here.
Yeah, I think I'm cash me outside.
All right, that was great.
All right, yeah, we won't be doing a what we would change episode. How would we fix it?
I think we could do a how would we fix it, but it would have to be like a 9-part series.
I'm gonna write
where we go
a 42-page.
That's
treatment.
too much work.
I'm gonna write a 42-page treatment.
right.
Listen, I want to let people know that if they've enjoyed a Discovery Home Companion, that they should join us on our Patreon, where they can continue the discussion on our Patreon Discord,
yes.
Oh yeah.
Where so Discovery Home Companion will be going away for a while, but if you still like us, then you should definitely join the daily discussion about Discovery and all things Trek on our Patreon Discord.
Yeah, they can go to patreon.com/kickersofelves. Like the Guided by Voices song, except plural. Yeah, and I bet a lot of y'all know us from our Deep Space Nine podcast. I won't even. So yeah, which keep listening over there, and you can call in on the same number.
And we're in the great. If you want to hear us drastically totally different about a show, you should listen to the ROA. If you don't.
Oh, and if you want to hear us argue about things some more, you can also go to that Patreon for Dune. Or much ado about nothing.
We really have something for everybody.
Yeah.
If you like to hear us talk positively about a show, we have the ROA. If you want to hear us get bitter and embattled and entrenched, just like we did for Discovery Home Companion, there's our Much Ado About Nothing podcast.
Yeah, our dude, it's much more acrimonious than anything we've had on Discovery. I think we need a couples retreat, like the podcast retreat.
Right. It's been it's been real, guys.
Yeah. This has been a lot of fun. I don't regret doing it. I've really enjoyed interacting with you guys. I really do wish. I hope. I really do wish I liked the show more, and I think we all do. But
yeah.
Well, thanks again for listening to a Discovery Home Companion. For Wade, James, and myself. Till next season, ready to beam out.
When you motor away beyond the widespread lips, when you free yourself from the chance of a lifetime, you can be anyone they told you to. You can belittle every little voice that told you so, and then the time will come when you add up the numbers. And then the time will come when you motor away. Oh, why don't you just drive away? When when you motor away. Oh, why don't you just drive away? Come on. Speed on.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Caster or Fuckcast or Podsucker. Review us on iTunes. Also grab a bit of fame for yourself by calling us at 917-408-3898 and leaving us a message. We play that shit on air. Or email us at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. Also, listen to our Deep Space Nine podcast Rules of Acquisition. It is pretty amazing, but you may not yet be ready for its awesome amazingness. Assess your personal awesomeness appropriately.